Verse 16. Then they journeyed from Bethel. When they were still some distance from Ephraim, Rachel went into labor, and she had hard labor. Right, so yeah, they're leaving now. Rachel is pregnant, heavily pregnant. She's going to give birth, and she went into labor, and it was not easy. That kind of reminds me of a story of a brother served with there and still serving with in helping me in the ministry and on our boards of directors here, whose wife gave birth to a son, and then a couple of months later, well, I think 10 months later or so, she went in the toilet and or the bathroom, and the next moment he heard her cry and said she gave birth to a daughter. It's like, what? They didn't even know she's pregnant. They just thought the fact that she didn't get the normal period, that means it's because of from the previous birth. In the previous first birth was very difficult, and now all of a sudden here she gives birth. That was a very easy birth. The first birth was very difficult. The second one was they didn't even know she's pregnant. Right? Sometimes things like this seemingly does happen, and in this case it did. And but in this case now for Rachel, it is not easy. It's a hard labor. And when the labor, verse 17, and when the labor was at its hardest, the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, for you have another son." Okay, so I mean, I guess most likely the midwife would have seen that Rebecca is really not going to make this one. Rachel is really not going to make this one. She's going to die. And maybe she just wanted her to feel that her life was not worthless. She already has one son. Now, Joseph, and remember his name was given, so with the idea that it's like, give me another son. Right now she gets another son, and now she dies. So the midwife says, oh, don't worry, you'll have another son. So it's to calm her down, or at least to let her go into death, knowing that it's a son, and she gave birth to another one. Okay, so she's leaving some behind. She's not. Life doesn't stop with her. Her memories will continue. She will continue in these children, ultimately. So yeah, I don't think it's like. I think these days, if the mother's life is in danger, the mother's in hospital, you know, there will be lots of doctors. There will be lots of. I mean, they would maybe do either cesarean, or they would just plain abort the baby, depending on whatever. You know, in this case, all of this is not there, so she dies in childbirth. A question. Oh well, let me first read the next verse. Verse 18. And as her soul was departing, for she was dying, she called his name Ben-oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died, verse 19, and she was buried on the way to Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar over her tomb. It's a pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there to this day. So, with a last act is giving her son a name. And this was normal in the family. Remember, Leah is always the time giving names, and then Rachel the one giving names, even to the servants' girls, children. So here she is as well, the one to give a name. But lo and behold, Jacob comes along, and he renames the only of his sons that he actually named. Oh, like God renamed him, here he is renaming Benjamin. You say, so for once he didn't want a name that will remind him of his wife's death. Maybe that is the reason, because he loved her so much and he didn't want to every time call out Ben-oni, Ben-oni, and be reminded of. But he could, or at least could have this, his birth led to Rachel's death. So maybe for that reason, it can make sense. But whatever the reason is, he is the only one that gets a new name. And that's renamed by Jacob, or got a name from Jacob, and not from his mother. Right, and so she died, and they put up a pillar, like he put up a pillar there in Bethel, and he anointed it. Now again, he puts up a pillar, a reminder of. Okay, that is the whole idea, a reminder of Rachel, and this is still there to this day. Understandably, that doesn't mean to this day in time and age we are living in now. It is when Moses wrote this, right? That this is still there. It might have been there after that as well. I don't know if it's there today, most likely not. Okay. Verse 21. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent behind the Tower of Eder. So now it's not Jacob, now it's Israel. He journeys on and he pitches his tent now in beyond another town called Eder. Now, just something one can maybe think about a little bit is, what if Jacob would have like gone with Esau when Esau told him to, no, he'll go ahead and he will protect him, or he would have just taken the men, some of the foreign men, to protect them, or even if not for all of that, he would have just done it and went there later on, and not in the way he did it. He never got there, right? So what if he would have gone straight there, then, or at least a lot faster, then maybe they would have been settled, there would have been a house, Rachel giving out childbirth might have been, because I think you can imagine a woman needs to travel like this, bop, 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 you know, if she's a camel or donkey, whatever, she's shaking, and I mean, that's going to aggravate whatever problem there might be. It's not the wisest thing. Like, ultimately Mary is going to go through the same thing with Jesus, but she didn't die in childbirth, right? But what if? Yeah, what if? We don't know. It didn't happen. But what I'm just trying to get at is, maybe if it did, then she would not have died, or at least the chances were. And so partly, or maybe even for a lot, the reason for her death is kind of on him, since he deceived his brother, then again, by not going. So yeah, it's just maybe something to think about. Again, I can't say for sure that it would have. There's lots of ifs and maybes in here. But there is kind of a chance that if he would have told truth and he went down, or at least if he did follow, as he said he will, that they would have been more settled, and chances then of giving a more normal childbirth would be. But it could have been another medical reason for why she had a difficult childbirth, and not just a traveling aggravation, but another internal reason. We don't know. I'm just saying, sometimes we have to like think maybe if, what kind of.